You can pay upfront loans, fees, and commissions, and then you pay ongoing fees. That's how financial institutions charge to make money. So what this is saying is like, right here's an average, right, 5.4% based on the type of portfolio you have. So let's put this again, because percentages don't mean a lot to me. They don't mean a lot to a lot of people. So let's put this in dollars and cents. If you had a $100,000 IRA and you moved it from one financial institution to another, you could pay upwards of $5,400 in upfront commissions fees, plus ongoing fees of $1,500 on average, according to the ICI. So to put this in perspective, that's $6,900 in the very first year. Think about that for a second. Stock market has to go up $7,000 to get to zero. You start to see the problem? So we have all this volatility, we have no yield, and then you throw expensive loans, fees, and commissions on top of it, and now it's really, really difficult to start making any money. Now what happens if you actually make some money this way? What happens next? The government wants their pound of flesh, right? And so now we trigger taxes. Now when we earn income, we trigger certain taxes. Okay, that's what it's called, earned income. So what taxes do we trigger? Well, we can trigger federal, and by the way, this depends where everybody lives, but I believe since we're all in this, well, you guys are all in this area, right? You pay all of these. Federal, state, local, Medicare, Social Security, right? So I'll land again, let's put this in dollars and cents. If you make $100,000, by the way, this doesn't include what I call hidden taxes. We talk about hidden fees that banks and brokerages charge, but there's also hidden taxes. What's an example of a hidden tax? Right? These are the taxes we are aware of, but what are some other examples? Sales tax, gas tax, right? I mean, what is it? Personal property tax. Yeah, what about vehicle registrations? Right, that's a fee, but we have to write a check, don't we, to a government agency to have a license plate or get a little sticker on our car every year, right? So you start adding this up, taxes are our single largest expense, right? So if you make $100,000 this year, you could pay to various taxing agencies $42,000 in taxes. Now, does that make anybody mad? I mean, whose money is that? Well, it's supposed to be your money. You just gave it to the government, right? Let me ask you this question. If I could show you a way to keep the $42,000 and never ever pay taxes on that again, would that be worth coming here tonight? Yeah. All right, I will show you how to do that. So here's the thing. When you take these three forces, right, that Social Security uncovered in this study, you've got volatility, you got no yield, right, so you've got an investment problem. Second problem is expensive loads, fees, and commissions. And then, if somebody's actually making money, you later on taxes on top of that. You take those three things together. Do you want to see what somebody's retirement plan in this country right now really looks like? You want to see what the average American's retirement plan looks like? You're not really sure, are you? You're afraid to see it. Well, I'm going to show it to you. Here it is. Welcome to Walmart. And I don't mean to make light of that, but isn't that true? When you and I walk into Walmart, there's somebody that looks just like that greeting us at the front door, isn't there? And the reason why that is because people don't understand what's happening to them. They just don't get it. And by the way, even if they figure it out, what's the solution? Right? So that's the problem. You're probably wondering at this point why Tom invited me here, because none of you are very happy at this point. Don't worry, it's going to get better. But this is what I tell people. It's no wonder the families can't seem to get ahead today, right? And if this has happened to you or someone that you love, I want you to know this. It's not your fault. It's not your fault because, again, nobody breaks this down and nobody offers a solution. All right? But there really is a solution out there. I'm not going to spend much time on this tonight. If you guys come Saturday and you want to talk more about my background, we will. I will tell you this. I am founder and CEO of Specialized IRA Services and Specialized Trust Company. I should just put that one up there. But we are a self-directed retirement account custodian. So to implement the strategies that I'm sharing with you tonight, and we'll talk more in depth on Saturday, you need to have a self-directed retirement custodian on your team. That's a new team member you're going to have. Right? We'll talk about what that means a little bit later on. I've been doing this for 23 plus years. You know, my marketing team tells me that you update that number every year because the more experience you have in something, the more credibility you have. I found myself single a few years ago, and I realized all I was doing was aging myself. So I put a plus sign after 23. That is never changing again. Okay, 10 years from now, when I'm here speaking to you guys, I'll have 23 plus years experience. It's never going up. Okay, that's it. I've written books on it. We've done all kinds of cool things. But let me just tell you a quick story about how, because it's directly relevant to some of the decisions that some of you are going to be making tonight and this weekend. I got into investing because I grew up raised by a single mother. It was my sister and we grew up in the state of Ohio. Anybody here from Ohio by chance? Anybody? One person. Where in Ohio?
Toledo.
Toledo. Okay. All right. Further north. I was down in Columbus, Central Ohio. So my father wasn't really interested in being a father. So he checked out at pretty early. So my mom had my sister and she was a social worker. If you know anything about social workers, they make no money. They have big hearts and small pocketbooks. So I'll never forget, I don't know why, but in 6th grade, this is when it really kind of came to light for me. But what happened was I was in 6th grade, and she would take us to the grocery store, because back then, now I am going to age myself a little bit here, right? Back then, they didn't have debit cards. Grocery stores didn't take credit cards. So you paid with cash or a check. And so we would be standing out the checkout line, and my mother would be going to, check out, and she'd be whispering under her breath, "I hope this clears." Because we didn't know if we were going to get groceries that week. Okay, we didn't know we were going to walk out of the store with. And that made a really big impression on me when I was in 6th grade, because I thought, you know what? I don't know how she feels, but that's got to make her feel horrible. And I said, when I grow up and have kids, I don't want to feel the way that she feels at this moment. And so I didn't know what the solution was, but I figured money had something to do with it. So I started working in 6th grade, and I would do odd jobs. I would do anything that somebody would pay me to do, right? The good news about Ohio is that it's got lots of crappy weather. So there was always leaves to rake, lawns to mow, or snow to shovel. And so, right, you know what I'm talking about, because that's where you were. Okay. So I started working, and I saved money. When I got into middle school, right, 7th grade, what I did was, I ended up opening up an UGMA account. Anybody know what an UGMA account is? I don't even know how I figured this stuff out, but I found about this thing called an UGMA account. And an UGMA account, if you're not familiar with it, is when you're underage, right? You're not legally of age, and you want to enter into, and you want to open up like an account, brokerage account or investment account. You have to have somebody over the age of 18 be your custodian, right? And so they sign off on the account that enables you to open up this account. So I opened up this account, I put my $1,000 in it, and I decided I was going to invest some money, right? So that's why I did this. So I opened up the account, I put my $1,000 in the account, and now I'm out looking for my investment. Now let me just stop there and point out one of the most important lessons I learned is that one of the number one things that I hear from people, and the reason why they get stuck, and this is how you get unstuck, by the way. If you feel stuck at any point in your life, this is the way you get unstuck. People get stuck because they feel like they have to figure out all the answers before they start their journey. Whatever that journey is, it doesn't matter. The truth is, life doesn't work that much. Okay? People say, well, I'm not going to take step 1 until I know what step 5 is. But here's the cold, hard reality. If you're waiting to figure out step 5 to take step number 1, you're never going to figure it out. So just accept your life the way it is. Because it's never going to change. Because the reality is, sometimes you don't know the answer to step number 3 until you took step number 2. Until you take the first step, the answers don't start to appear. So I opened up an account, I put money in the account. I knew I wanted to invest. And those were the first 2 steps. I had no idea what I was going to invest in. I had no clue. But I knew if I didn't have an account and I didn't have money, I wasn't even in the game. I had 0 opportunity. So I at least took the first 2 steps. So now I'm out and I'm looking for an investment. So now actually my mind shifted, right? Because I have an account, I have money to invest, whereas the year before that I didn't. And so now I'm looking for an investment opportunity. Now I'm going to tell you what my very first investment was. And you have to promise that when I tell you, you cannot laugh. You cannot laugh, all right? I invested in a stock in a company called Chuck E. Cheese. Yeah. Right? You guys know that? As parents or as grandparents, right? It's the place we love and hate all at the same time, right? Pizza's not that good. But here's the interesting thing. I bought into Chuck E. Cheese at $18.50 a share. 12 months later, it had gone to $42 a share. Now, there was a second lesson that I learned. And that is that I made more money investing in a year than I did working crap jobs. Okay, so I was hooked from a very early age. I knew that the wealth was going to be created through investment. I learned nothing else. That was the main takeaway. So what happened was, I go to my grandfather, who's my custodian on my UGMA account, and I said, Grandpa, I want to sell this stock. Now, what do you think he told me? No, right? Because stock, as Chris says, stocks are for the long run, right? Isn't that what we're told? Stocks are for the long run. So he says, we're not going to sell it. I'm like, okay. Well, guess what happens? And this is something that most people don't know about. And this has happened to me, unfortunately, 3 times, which is one reason why I don't invest this way anymore. But Chuck E. Cheese filed bankruptcy. Now, they still exist today, don't they? But what people don't know is that, and this is where I say the system is rigged, and it's not rigged for you and I as individuals. Okay, it's rigged for a group of people, but we ain't part of that group. Because one of the things that the court is allowed to do, and this is what they did in the case of Chuck E. Cheese, is that Chuck E. Cheese, as a way to get out of bankruptcy, said, if you will let us wipe out all existing shareholders and issue new company stock as a way of recapitalizing the company, we can make a go of it. So guess what? The court said, fine. So my 18 went to 42, went to 0. Okay? Now, when you're in middle school, that's what we call a recoverable loss. When you're 62, it's not so recoverable, is it? And this is one of the things that derails people. And so I started from a very early age saying, there's got to be a better way to do this. And so that's where I started looking at this. Now, the interesting thing